Dan Blocker disliked him more than anyone else. Dan Blocker was born Bobby Dandavis Blocker on December 10, 1928 in Calb, Texas. He grew up in the rough hills of Texas where working hard, staying humble, and caring about family were the most important things in his life from when he was very young. He showed an unusual mix of being really strong and also being very gentle, qualities that would later make his most famous TV character special before he became famous. Dan Blocker lived a life that showed a honesty, never giving up, and helping others, standing at 6 feet 4 inches and weighing around 300 pounds. He was a gentle giant even as a young man. His parents owned a small store in O'Donnell, Texas, and it was there that he learned how important it is to work hard and help your community. Blocker went to Texas Military Institute and later, Sulross State Teachers College, where he notably did really well in school but also became known as a football player. His sports skills and his determination gained him respect from other students, and he graduated with a degree in English and later earned a master's degree in drama and theater. These early experiences gave him a sense of discipline and passion that would shape both his personal life and his work life. Before going into the entertainment world, Blocker served his country with pride. During the Korean War, he was drafted into the United States Army and served as an infantry sergeant. His time in the military taught him to deeply respect sacrifice, leadership, and bravery. He often said his wartime experiences helped shape how he saw the world and made him care more about others. People who knew him during this time described him as a man with deep honesty, someone who had a quiet strength and a real kindness that never went away even during the harsh realities of war. After his military service, Blocker went back to Texas and worked as a teacher, sharing his love for books and history with students. For fate led him toward the world of acting. Dan Blocker's start in Hollywood was not quick or easy, but his never-give-up attitude paid off. In the late 1950s, he began getting small parts in television shows such as Theory Fleming, Gunsmoke, and The Restless Gun. His natural charm along with his big, impressive body quickly caught the attention of people who chose actors. In 1959, his life changed forever when he was cast as Hoss Cartwright in Bonanza. Their role would not only define his career, but also turn him into one of the most loved characters in television history. Hoss, the big-hearted middle son of the Cartwright family, showed everything Dan Blocker was in real life: gentle, funny, caring, and merely good. Audiences instantly connected with Hoss's warmth and humility, and Blocker's acting gave show an emotional depth that balanced its action and adventure. Bonanza became one of the most successful TV series of all time. Running for 14 seasons from 1959 to 1973, Blocker appeared in 415 episodes before his way to early death in 1972, and during that time, he became an icon of American television. His character stood out not for being the fastest gooner, the toughest cowboy, but for his humanity and goodness. Critics and fans both praised Blocker for bringing honesty to the Western genre, often showing Hoss as the emotional heart of the show. Behind the scenes, his co-stars, including Lorna Green, Michael Landon, and Pernell Roberts, admired him deeply, describing him as the moral compass of the cast and a man who never let fame change who he was. Dan Blocker's marriage to Dolphia Parker Blocker stands as one of the most touching and lasting love stories in Hollywood history. A relationship that showed loyalty, humility, and deep affection in an industry often known for short-lived romances. The couple's bond began long before fame found Dan. They met while both were students at Sulross State University in Alpine, Texas, where Dan was studying, and Dolphia was also active in the college community. From the very beginning, their connection was based on shared values, respect, kindness, and a real appreciation for simple things. While many couples in show business were drawn together by glamour or ambition, Dan and Dolphia built their relationship on understanding each other and the comfort of knowing that their hearts were safe in each other's hands. They married in 1952, years before Dan Blocker became a household name through his legendarily as Eric Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza. The wedding was modest, much like the couple themselves. Two people deeply in love, starting a life together with little more than hope and determination. At that time, Dan was still a struggling actor and teacher, working different jobs to support his young family. Dolphia stood by his side without ever wavering, providing encouragement and stability when the path ahead seemed uncertain. Her quiet strength and patience gave Dan the confidence to chase his dreams, even when success seemed far away. It was a partnership built not on fame or wealth, but on faith in each other's potential and a shared belief that love could carry them through any hardship. Aston's acting career began to grow in the late 1950s and eventually took off with Bonanza in 1959. Dolphia remained his steady anchor. She never wanted the spotlight or attention for herself, choosing instead to focus on their home and children. While Dan was on set for long hours filming the beloved Western series, Dolphia kept their family grounded, making sure that their children grew up surrounded by love, normalcy, and strong moral values. Friends and colleagues often said that despite his fame, Dan Blocker remained remarkably humble and family-oriented, and much of that was because of Dolphia's quiet influence. She was his trusted friend, his emotional center, and the person who reminded him of who he truly was beyond the fame and success. Their marriage also produced 4 children, twin sons David and Dirk and daughters Deborah Lynn Dana Lynn. The Blocker household was known for its warmth and laughter, and often said his wife was the reason for keeping that sense of balance. Even as his fame grew, he refused to let Hollywood shun the way he treated his wife or family. He often spoke with deep affection for Dolphia, describing her as his greatest blessing and the love of his life. Theirs was a marriage that survived the ups and downs of fame, long working hours, and the pressures of public life. Yet, it never wavered. Dan's deep devotion to Dolphia was well known among his peers. He would often rush home after shooting rather than go to industry parties, preferring to spend quiet evenings with his wife and children. In the world of television westerns, few series were as beloved as Bonanza. For over a decade, it captured the hearts of America with its tales of the Cartwright family, led by Father Ben and his 3 sons, Adam, Haas, and Little Joe. Behind the scenes, however, not everything was as peaceful as it seemed on screen. While Bonanza had the image of a tight-knit frontier family, the real-life relationships among the cast were some enemies far more complicated. Among those, perhaps the most tense and emotionally charged was the one between Dan Blocker, who played the kind-hearted and Eric Haas Cartwright, and Pernell Roberts, the intense and intellectual actor who played Adam Cartwright. Dan Blocker, known for his warm, friendly nature and deep sense of loyalty to his colleagues, rarely felt bad feelings toward anyone. A Texas-born filmmaker and soldier, Blocker was a man of principle who valued teamwork and respect. Yet, even he found it hard to get along with Pernell Roberts. The tension between them wasn't about ego or fighting for screen time. It was about conflicting personalities and values. Roberts was famously outspoken, often criticizing Bonanza's scripts and direction, which he saw as shallow and formulaic. He wanted deep storyline lines that challenged social norms, and he wasn't afraid to voice his frustrations loudly on set. Blocker, who believed in professionalism and loyalty to the show that made them famous, took Roberts' constant criticism personally. In one interview, Blocker once said, "Pernell thought he was smarter than the rest of us, and maybe he was. But that didn't give him the right to treat people like fools." He added that working with Roberts could be like walking on eggshells, since Roberts often refused to practice lines he considered poorly written or beneath him. Blocker, who was proud of being easygoing and cooperative, found such behavior dyspeptic to the cast and crew. He would often say, "We're a family on this set, and a family doesn't tear each other down in front of outsiders." The philosophical divide between the two men only got bigger as the seasons went on. Roberts wanted out of the series, feeling creatively trapped. Blocker, on the other hand, loved Bonanza and saw it as a rare opportunity to bring positive, wholesome entertainment to American homes. Roberts' hatred for the show's commercial success clashed sharply with Blocker's thankfulness for it. Pernell thought Bonanza was too simple, too moral, too good-natured, Blocker once said. But that's what people needed, a little goodness in their lives. He couldn't see that. Despite their differences, both actors shared a deep commitment to being real in their performances. Roberts was a classically trained actor who approached each role with intensity, while Blocker relied on instinct and sincerity. The clash between intellect and heart became a symbol of their relationship and of the creative tension that fueled Bonanza itself. Behind the scenes, their arguments were sometimes heated but never violent. Yet Blocker's dislike for Roberts was well known among cast members. Michael Landon, who played Little Joe, once recalled that Dan tried to stay patient, but Pernell had a way of pushing people past their limits. When Roberts finally left Bonanza in 1965, Blocker reportedly felt both relief and sadness. "I never wished him ill," he said in an interview years later. "But I was glad to stop fighting." The departure brought peace back to the set and Blocker's good humor returned in full. Still, heckled and completely let go of his resentment. "He was a brilliant man," Blocker admitted, "but he made everyone around him miserable. You can't build anything good out of bitterness." Ironically, time made the edges of Blocker's anger softer. After leaving the show, Roberts went after theater and stage work, continuing to speak out on social issues he cared deeply about. Though Blocker never made peace with him personally before his own way to early death in 1972. He reportedly spoke of Roberts with a kind of tired respect in his later interviews. Maybe he was right to want more. Blockerans thought about it, but he forgot to be thankful for what he already had. Their relationship remains one of the most fascinating behind-the-scenes dynamics in television history. A clash between two talented men who loved their craft, but couldn't bridge the gap between their opposing views of what it meant to be an artist. Dan Blocker's frustration with Pernell Roberts wasn't based on hatred alone, but in disappointment that someone he admired for his intelligence and talent could also be so cold, critical, and distant. In the end, Blocker's legacy was one of warmth, generosity, and friendship, while Roberts's was one of independence and defiance. Both men left a permanent mark on Bonanza, but it was Blocker's big heart and his honest words that continued to connect with fans decades later. As Blocker once summed it up in his straightforward way, "You don't have to like everybody you work with, but you should at least try to respect them." Pernell never gave us that chance. On May 13, 1972, the world was shocked by the unexpected and heartbreaking death of beloved actor Dan Blocker, best known for his unforgettable role of Ericus Cartwright on the long-running television western Bonanza. At only 43 years old, Blocker's passing in Inglewood, California, left a deep void not only in the entertainment industry, but also in the hearts of millions of devoted fans who had come to admire his warmth, humor, and humanity both on and off the screen. The official cause of death was a pulmonary embolism, a sudden and fatal blockage of an artery in the lungs, which tragically happened following what had been expected to be a routine gallbladder surgery at Daniel Freeman Memorial Hospital. According to reports at the time, Blocker had entered the hospital for a standard medical procedure, something that neither he nor his doctors thought was life-threatening. However, following the operation, complications happened when a blood clot formed and traveled to his lungs, cutting off his oxygen supply and leading to his heart stopping. The news was confirmed by his family and later explained by news outlets which reportedly, Blocker went into the hospital for gallbladder surgery, developed a blood clot in his lung. Indeed, this simple statement captured the shocking suddenness of his passing, an event that seemed almost impossible to believe given Blocker's image as a strong, larger-than-life figure whose good-natured spirit had come to symbolize the moral heart of Bonanza. His death was not only a devastating personal loss for his wife Dolphia Parker Blocker and their 4 children, David, Deborah, Dana, and Dirk Blocker, the latter following in his father's footsteps as an actor, but also a moment of mourning for his extended Bonanza family. The cast and crew, including Lorne Greene, Michael Landon, and Pernell Roberts, were said to be deeply affected. Greene, who played Father Ben Cartwright, reportedly broke down upon hearing the news, calling it the end of an era. Michael Landon, who had been especially close to Blocker, was heartbroken and later rewrote parts of Bonanza to reflect the deep loss of his dear friend and co-star.